everybody. So today's topic for our, so you want to start a craft business, today's tip is SEO, which if you don't know what that is, that's what this video is about. It's to tell you what SEO is. SEO stands for, it's an abbreviation for search engine optimization, which I have a hard time even saying that word. So search engine optimization. And you see, it's way easier to call it SEO. And I had no clue that such a thing existed. And so if you're going to be selling things online, which you should be, you need to basically, by using certain keywords that we're going to research, we're going to look it up, so I hope you like research because that's what you're doing. And there are lots of paid services for that, but my friend Renee Christine, she has videos, so I'm pretty much just copying her tips, that put me on to a free one called SEObook.com. And that's what I use because I don't want to pay anybody. So that's what I use, and I'll do a little screen share and show you what I mean. But basically, the long story short, you're searching for keywords. So you're going to use the proper keywords, so like if everybody's searching for, blue bride purse, but you're putting up there like purses for brides, then, if everybody's searching for the other keywords, then they're not going to be finding your thing. And Etsy is sort of its own search engine, and then Google and Bing, like all of those are search engines. Anything that has like a search bar where you type in like blue bride purse, that's a search engine. And so most of them, I feel like it used to be a bit more different where Etsy's SEO was kind of a different animal from Google, which when I switched from, I still have an Etsy site, but when I switched from my yarns and stuff mainly being on Etsy to my own site, that was definitely a learning curve because I was still doing the Etsy SEO on Google, so like all my product titles were super goofy, and Google doesn't like that. Long story short, Google wants your SEO in your descriptions and in your tags, and I will do some screen sharing and show you some sort of behind the scenes on my website anyway. You don't want to be what it used to be called back in the day was like keyword stuffing when like the Google started. And so basically if you wanted to have the #1 webpage on Google for like race cars, you would in your, where you could put in your keywords, you just type race car, race car, race car, race car. And so, it was whoever had race car mentioned the most, Google was like, oh, okay, cool, this one's about race cars, and stuck it up at the top. And so then Google got smart and wised up to that, and they don't want you doing that anymore. So you don't want to be like a weird keyword stuffer. And you've probably seen those sites that you get on and it says like a computer wrote it, where it's like, welcome to Race Car Emporium, where we have blogs about race cars and products about race cars. And, they just keep using the same word like over and over again. And you're like, who wrote this? So don't do that. That was an old and bad and cheating technique, and Google doesn't want us to do that anymore. So I will teach you how to use SEO Book to find your keywords, and there's regular keywords and long tail keywords, and I will explain the difference. And then I'll show you, like I said, Etsy has changed, but I'll show you kind of the back end on my website and on Etsy and where those go and how to use them. So that's my rant on SEO and what it is for the tech impaired. But it's super important. Like, you can't just get on there like I did when I first started and I was like, I'm gonna write witty titles. Like, nobody knows the inner workings of my brain, so like nobody's searching for what I think is a funny title for something. Because see, in my imagination, I was like, oh, they're gonna find that and they're gonna read it and be like, this one's funny, I'm gonna buy that one. It's not good. It's not good for the SEO. Anyhow, here you go. This is a little behind the scenes on doing it. All right, everybody, as promised, this is how I do my SEO research, and it's on this website called SEObook.com. And this is the website that was recommended to me by Renee Christine, or else I never would have known about it. So anyhow, like I said, there are some paid services out there, and, you're welcome to check them out. Let me know what you think. But this is the one I use, and it is free. You do have to make an account with them, but I promise I have never received a single email from them ever. So just go ahead, make an account. It takes 2 seconds. It's like your email and a password. So whatever, make an account. And then once you have an account, you go to, you sign in up here, and then you click on tools, and the only thing I ever use is this keyword tool. So you click keyword tool, and it brings you to this page. And what you do, so I'm just going to do for my business, let's see, so if you type in yarn, and then hit submit, and it takes it a second sometimes. Then it thinks about it, and then this is just an example. So, let's say you sell, painted yarn or whatever. So yarn being the big main word, you see that monthly this thing's claiming it has that many searches, daily, on Google, Bing, blah, blah, blah. So that's, yarn you see is a big giant keyword. That's just a basic keyword. When you hear people talk about a long tail keyword, that means, so if yarn is the keyword, then Lion Brand yarn patterns would be a long tail keyword because it's more specific. Super bulky yarn, there you go, I like that one. So super bulky yarn would be a long tail keyword. And so this is where you need to, that would be great if what you sell is super bulky yarn, then you would know that when somebody is searching specifically for what you want, that's what they're going to type in, and it gets that many, daily searches on Google. So that's a good one. But, obviously if you don't sell super bulky yarn, you would want to find something that was more, in line with what it is. And so this is where you really are just going to have to do your own research for what is most, particular to you. So let's say you are, and I don't know what these results are going to be. Let's, indie dyed yarn. And this one might not get any hits. I don't know. Let's see what comes up for indie dyed yarn. And if you type in something that doesn't get any hits, it just tells you that. So we're just going to go with dyed yarn and see what comes up. And there we go. So for dyed yarn, here's a good, you can have hand-dyed yarn. That's a long tail keyword. Hand-dyed sock yarn, because there's a lot of people that, that's the weight that they like to use for either socks or for projects where they're like using a double strand. Gradient dyed sock yarn. So, it kind of gives you, but you see these are real low search volume, which is fine. It just means that they're very specific things. So this is the tool I use to find, like I said, the appropriate keywords, and this is for Google, or for, like I said, for my website. So a little behind the scenes on, like I said, I have a Squarespace website. Another great one that I know a lot of people that are, in business with me use is, God, what's the other one? It's not Squarespace. It's going to come to me here in a minute. But there are many different types of websites that you can use. Let's see, that's my Etsy one. Here we go. This is kind of the back end of my website. And like I said, this looks like a Squarespace site because that's what it is. So I've got my title of this particular yarn, and then you can see I've got some keywords in here with chunky, hand-spun, hand-painted yarn. And then down here, and like I said, WordPress, that's the one I was trying to come up with. I know a lot of people use WordPress too. And I imagine they're set up very similar. I've seen the back end of some of those sites before too. But tags, that's going to be your keywords here. So I've got hand-painted yarn, chunky yarn, art yarn. Those are things that, I want people within my site and on Google to be able to find this yarn for. And it's in the category of art yarn. I know with my categories, all of my, I didn't give them like clever names or anything. My categories are all, exactly what they are. So spinning fiber, that would be a keyword. Spinolution wheels, the spinning wheels I'm a dealer for, that, if you're searching for that wheel brand, that's going to come up as a category. And then in here, I didn't keyword stuff it, but I did make sure I use things that are relevant, like merino wool, hand-dyed gradient yarn, right there in my description. And all of these things, when Google, it reads through my descriptions on my website, it's like a little robot. It's going to read through this, and it's going to be like, what is this about? Okay, it's a merino wool, hand-dyed gradient yarn. So that's, like I said, you're basically making it where the Google robot can understand, what it is that it's looking at here. And so we're just going to hit cancel because we're not changing. Like I said, that's how I would do it in a particular item. I know on this type of website you can, I'm trying to remember where it is. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is my my page, my home page, which is what obviously I want people to find, you can see that, you know, I'm sorry, it's got all these things clicking at hand spun yarn and spinning fiber by Crafty Housewife Yarns, because that's what I want, you know, to be found was for the hand spun yarn and spinning fibers. I made sure it was there, but, you know, without sounding like a robot. And then I wrote some nice little about sections here, you know, that I made sure we've got hand spun yarn and spinning fiber. But like I said, it's very important with Google. You don't want to sound like you're keyword stuffing. So, you know, I didn't put that in there over and over again where it would sound weird. But I've got it there, you know, basically all my different places here. And then I've got more down here, you know, kind of about us. So we've got like Fiber Arts is in here, you know, yarn, spinning. You know, I've got, even though it's hopefully interesting, it does have, you know, the keywords that I have researched that I want to be found for in, you know, and this is on my webpage, on the homepage. So that's another place that I use it. And let's see, like I said, this actually has, and this is on my website, a section where you can add SEO. So this is the same thing. You can see I've got hand spun yarn, spinning fiber, Spinolution, spinning wheels being one. And, you know, this is what it shows me how it would look on Google. So, you know, this is actually a little section called SEO. And like I said, on WordPress or GoDaddy or whatever it is you're using, I'm sure they are similar. But that, you know, if you didn't know what SEO is, you know, if you were in this marketing tab, you'd be like, what in the world is that? So that is how I use it on my website. For Etsy, which is where a lot of people are starting or staying, depending on your industry, it could be perfectly good to stay there. Only thing, I didn't have too many good examples because pretty much all I've got on Etsy are my courses and my spinning wheels for Spinolution. So my keywords, you know, I mean, it's a pretty specific thing. It's this particular wheel for this particular company. So those are obviously my keywords. But yeah, I mean, we can see what comes up on here. So if we type in, like I said, the brand is Spinolution, and then hit submit. And you can see, you know, what the specific hits are on these different wheels. You could also just put in spinning wheel and see what comes up. And one thing that's funny is you'll find that, see, spinning wheel, I'm thinking a yarn spinning wheel. But there's also all these other keywords for spin the wheel, like spin the wheel game. You know, so there's obviously keywords in here that get a lot of searches, but they're not what I'm talking about. So, you know, make sure that it's relevant for what you're talking about. Like spinning wheel florist, I don't even know what that means. So I got my keywords from there, and, you know, so I've got them in my title. And then I've also, you know, and like I said, Etsy pretty much, this is why I have kind of a love-hate relationship with Etsy, where you have to, you know, you pretty much have to fill this out, you know, like they want you to fill it out. So then I've got my description that, you know, obviously has these words in there. And then the main place on Etsy that you use keywords at is here in the tags. So you can see travel wheel, you know, I've got different keywords that are relevant to what this particular wheel is here. So that is what's up with that. And let's see, another way on Etsy, like I said, it used to be where Etsy had much more of a specific formula that was different from Google. But now I think it's more Google-like, so you know, you don't want to be keyword stuffing or anything in there. Just make sure you've got your relevant keywords in your Etsy titles. Another thing you can do is just go to the Etsy site. And here we're going to do hand-dyed yarn again. So we're going to do hand-dyed, and you can see, so hand-dyed yarn is something people search for. Hand-dyed sock yarn, hand-dyed fabric, you know, just by starting typing in the search bar on Etsy will also hand-dyed roving, you know, yarn DK. That's not something I necessarily would have come up with, but that's something that people are searching for. So then in my titles for Etsy particular, you know, I would know to use those types of, you know, oh, and look at all the pretty yarns. So that is a little quick rundown, but I mainly just wanted to explain to you what SEO was, which is, you know, search engine optimization. It basically helps what you want to be found. And so instead of using clever titles or something that you think people would be searching for, you want to research for free on SEO book. Or like I said, on the Etsy search bar to find out what your particular keywords are. So I hope that is helpful.